Hello, hello, hello. I hope that you are staying as warm as possible in this winter weather storm that we have going on all across the country. Even here in southeast Georgia, we're getting some weather that is a little bit cooler than we are used to, but we're still going to talk about the things. We're going to talk about, can you see it? Ozempic. Now, this is like a prize commodity right now. Everybody wants to get their hands on this. This is the medicine. The other one, the real one that you guys really are looking forward to is the Wegovy, because that is the one that is going to help with the weight loss. So everybody uses the word Ozempic. I'll probably use that mainly today because that's the one that a lot of people are familiar with. But the main one that is indicated for weight loss is Wegovy. It has taken over the country. Everybody wants their hands, or a lot of people, I should say, want to get their hand on this medicine. And the problem is, it is in high demand, but it is in short supply. And you know what that means? That means that the scammers are out scamming, the fakes are now coming out on the market. We have also some compounded medicine. So, what's the difference between a compounded versus a counterfeit or a fake? Are they the same? Are they different? We're going to talk about how to spot the fakes and what you can do to protect yourself. So, if you are new here, I am Dr. Ashley Booth. I am a board certified family medicine physician, and welcome. I'm so glad that you are here. You know what you can do? You can always tell me who's watching in the chat, where you're watching from. And then you share, subscribe, put on that notification bell, all the things, because it is absolutely free, but it is absolutely news that you can use, because I provide practical health tips that you can use in your everyday life. Because what I understand is your life is going to ultimately affect your health. So let's get into it. Ozempic or Wegovy. What exactly is this medicine? I'm just going to give you a quick and dirty, not going to give you a whole lot of it, but and try to simplify it for you. But it's called a GLP-1 agonist. So it is a glucagon like peptide. All that really means is that it mimics a hormone that we have in our body that is released when we eat. And when we eat, it tells the body produce more insulin. When we produce more insulin, that insulin tells those cells where to go. If you missed my video where I talked about diabetes and the sugar that ain't sweet, I talk about how insulin works with the body and with those cells and gets stuff going where it needs to go. So you can get more information there. But it does that. So that's one of the reasons why this medication is indicated for diabetes. But at a different dose, it also targets the brain, and it can help regulate your appetite and how much food you eat. Well, then that's going to lead to weight loss. And the average amount of weight loss is about 35 pounds or 15% of your body weight. That is a lot, because a lot of the other ones come in maybe 5%, 6%, maybe 10%. So to get 15% weight loss, and it's not just a vanity thing. I know a lot of people talking about, oh, that's a Hollywood drug. But really, this is a drug that is saving lives, because if we get the weight down, that is also going to help to get your blood sugars down. That can decrease your cardiovascular risk, so heart attacks and strokes. So it can definitely help with a lot of that, because over 30%, actually, I would say more than that, it's like 60% of Americans are obese or overweight and actually could qualify for the weight loss medication, because we know that those things, obesity alone, can increase your risk of diabetes, high blood pressure. Those things increase your risk of heart attack and stroke. So we don't want that. So this medicine has been doing some wonderful things for people, but there are some side effects, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention them. And some of the main ones is nausea, some vomiting. People can either have some diarrhea or some constipation. So because it works on that GI area, you're going to have what we call some GI upset. So those are things that you want to think about. But the main issue is the benefits, for the most part, outweigh the risk. And that's why this medication is in such high demand. So what's happening is this medicine is working so well. People are able to get the weight off, keep the weight off, having some great results. Now it's in high demand, but we are in low supply. And when that happens, and the medicine is relatively new to the point that it doesn't have a generic that is out, then the FDA says, well, this is a medicine that we approved. We say that it is safe, and now it is in high demand, but you guys can't reach that demand. We're in low supply. So the FDA can actually say, you know what? We are essentially in a shortage. So they will allow licensed pharmacies and some other places, like essentially licensed pharmacies, to make and to sell the active ingredient that's in here, which is the semaglutide. Well, those pharmacies, and the main pharmacies that do that are compounded pharmacies. Now, compounded pharmacies have been around for a long time, and they're like specialized pharmacies. Some people go and get their medications for their pets because the regular pharmacy doesn't have the time or the equipment to be able to mix up these special doses of different things. They'll put different things together. Some people have some specialized creams, and you may go to a compounded pharmacy because you may have eczema or acne or whatever, and they can be able to put different ingredients together and create a product for you. Well, they are given permission to do the same thing for this medication. So they're able to get the active ingredient, which is the semaglutide, and be able to put it out on the market. What is going on with this is sometimes people are mixing other ingredients with it. So you have your semaglutide that is your base active ingredient, but then a lot of people are now adding like vitamins or other types of ingredients with that medication, but they have to still follow certain guidelines. If they are truly a licensed pharmacy and they're doing what they're supposed to do, they have to follow certain guidelines. And one of those is they have to be sterile. And if it is a small compounded pharmacy, they can only make so many of these because they have to keep up that level of sterility and follows those different guidelines. Because if you don't, then that's where we get to the problem of people start cutting corners. And that is what we are seeing, unfortunately. So let's go back to like our counterfeit versus our compounded pharmacy. Now, the stress that we have on our compounded pharmacies is they have to maintain that sterility, like I said, and make sure everything is clean. Because things are not clean, then we can start having issues with infections. The other thing is they also have to make sure that they have the right ingredients. Are we using the correct type of semaglutide? Because they have to make sure that they're using the correct one. Because if we're not using, because medicines come in all different forms. It can be it comes like as a powder, and then there's certain types of powders, and then it has this form. It's a salt, and it's not a salt. Now, there's all these things. I'm not a pharmacist, so I don't know all the things, but I do know that there are certain medicines that they can use, that they have to make sure that they are getting the right ingredients and using the right ingredients. So that's the issue with the compounded pharmacy, being able to keep up with the demand, but also being able to keep up their level of safety that they're supposed to with their sterility. When we have our counterfeits, counterfeits are just like any other counterfeit. Somebody randomly are making it because they say, well, it looks like it smells like it, but is it really it? The issue is they are counterfeiting everything. Just like you can see a counterfeit bag and you can't necessarily tell the difference between the two, especially a really good counterfeit. That's what they're doing with this medicine. They are creating the pen that the medication comes in. They are counterfeiting the needles. Even the needles are fake. Think about that. If the needle is fake, then what else could be going on? Is that needle safe? Has it been cleaned? Has it been used on anybody else? Where did this needle even come from? So the FDA and the maker of Ozempic, they have been aware of some of this that's been going on since at least June of last year. So June of 2023, they have been aware that this has been counterfeit. There are other issues that have been going on. Other people have been making it who have not been authorized. They have tested some of those medications that say they are what they are, and they found out that, surprise, surprise, but not surprise, they have some impurities in them. And they may have the medicine in it, but they don't have the right level of the medicine in it. So people are taking it, but they're not seeing the results. So someone may have said, well, you know what? I'm no longer able to afford this through my insurance, or I can't get it through my insurance anymore. So I'm just going to go over to the other version. But what you may find out is that the dosage you were on through the original branded version, when you're using the other one, the compounded one, it may not be as effective because it may not have as much in there. So as you can see, this can be a whole situation. So we have to think about, is it clean? Is it safe? Are they using the right amount of medicine? Are they using the right medicine in the first place? Like, where did all of this stuff come from? So one of the things that you have to think about, and the reason why people are getting into this is it is tempting to do this because it's cheaper. Because people say, well, why would you go through all of that if you know? Well, it's because it's much cheaper to get this from essentially like the generic from a compounding pharmacy or anything like that. Then it can be significantly cheaper. And what I mean is $300 for a month supply of this versus thousands plus dollars. So the branded of this is like $1,200, $1,500 a month. That's if it's not covered by your insurance. And some people insurance will cover it and they still are out of $500, $600 a month. Whereas a compounding pharmacy, you may be able to get it for around like $300 a month. That is about the going rate for it. So when you see that, or you know that, okay, there's some kind of pharmacy online that will allow me to get it, then you may be tempted to do that. But I'm going to caution you about doing that. I know I just told you about all the other things that could be an issue, but you also want to make sure that you think about the risk of infection because this is an injectable. You actually have to put this in your skin with the needle, and that can you can have an infection from just the needle itself. You can have an issue from whatever medicine that they put in there that you injected in. So you have to just be very mindful of that. So the way to keep yourself safe, because I'm not here to just scare you, right? The way to keep yourself safe, what you can do, have to make sure that you're getting your medicines from a reputable pharmacy. Well, how do you know that they are who they are? The best thing is to stick to your local state licensed pharmacy. And you can look up if your pharmacy is licensed or not. But if you're looking at a compounded pharmacy, then you want to make sure that it is a licensed state regulated pharmacy because that means that they come in every so often to make sure that they are practicing those sterile procedures, that they are not overwhelmed and they have too many orders and that they are cutting corners, which can lead to some other issues. So you want to make sure that your pharmacy is regulated in that way. If you are able to order the medication, a lot of places I've seen pop up, there are these online pharmacies. And I had someone to say, well, I can go on to that pharmacy and I can get it for like $100, $200. Do not do that. If you are not required to submit a prescription from your doctor, your nurse practitioner, whoever is the medical professional that you see, if you are not required to have a prescription from them to be able to get said medicine and it's super duper cheap, do not risk it because that can risk your life. Like I said, you are injecting something in you and you have no idea what that is. Scammers are scamming, they could put all kinds of stuff in there. So you do not want to do that. Then you want to also make sure that you check on the website. So you can go to semaglutide.com and that has some updates on like the counterfeits that they have. They have the information of like what the counterfeit number is. And so they are keeping track. They are really starting to look and see, okay, who is out here, who's doing what, when did we get, like they had a huge shipment and breakdown where the FDA was like, oh my gosh, and they saw that this medicine was counterfeit. And let me tell you, I looked at the difference between the counterfeit and the actual medication. Honestly, the counterfeit, their labeling and stuff actually looks better to me because when I saw it, I said, "Oh, that must be the counterfeit," and that actually was the brand. So they are really duping people and making you think that the other one is better, but no. So they are trying to keep track of it. So go to semaglutide.com and I'll be able to put that information in there for you to follow it and see it. So that way you can go to that website and check periodically. Okay, are there any certain type of pharmacies that have some issues? Are there some counterfeits that are out there that I need to be aware of? Because they'll give you the lot number and all that kind of stuff to look at to see if your medication was caught up in that. But you are less likely to have that if you go to a reputable source. If you go to a pharmacy, compounded pharmacy, you go through your physician and they are able to write the script and they'll, let you know which pharmacies are reputable, those sorts of things. But you want to do that to make sure that you are safe. Also, you want to make sure that you are being able to be guided through this. I have a lot of people that are asking me, have I started to prescribe this? I do when it goes through the appropriate channels and making sure that you are appropriate for it. But you just have to make sure that this medicine is right for you, that you've had enough education to know, okay, is the risk outweighing the benefit? Also, is someone monitoring me and checking in with me every so often? Because this is not just about weight loss. This is a whole lifestyle type of a situation. So you want to make sure that you have someone in your corner who is able to say, yes, we need to stay on this dose. No, we need to go down, or we need to go up, or what else is going on with your diet, or whatever it is, because although you're like, oh, I'll just take the medicine, I'll lose the weight, I'll be fine. There is a lot more to it. So if you need someone to help guide you on your weight loss goals, your health goals, whatever it is, we are primary care. We see all of those things from weight loss to high blood pressure to just keeping you well in general. Then you are free to look us up. My website is on the bottom as well as my phone number, but our whole goal is to make sure that you are well. So we are still open to patients and we're accepting new patients. If you are not in the area, that's perfectly fine. Continue to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and even on TikTok at Dr. Ashley A. Booth, MD. So that way you can stay up to date on all the things that make sense so that you are okay. Until next time, I am wishing you healing and I will see you soon. Take care.